Today we're talking laminate. Stuff right here. It's very easy to install. I'm in the middle of a project and I figured I'd videotape it. What I'm doing basically is I'm re-laminating this piece right here. There's many uses for laminate. You can basically glue it on any surface. This is particle board. You can glue it on plywood or hardwood, whichever you fancy. You can laminate over existing laminate. There's a few things that you got to do to prep it to do it. So that's what I'm in the middle of doing right now. First thing is you want to make sure the existing laminate, the old laminate, is in good shape. You want to make sure there's nothing lifting up. You know, the laminate's not lifting up. There's no bubbles in the surface at all that'll cause issues on your new laminate that you're going to apply. You want to make sure it's clean. Use like a degreaser or something, some sort of solvent to clean it. And what I am going to do is I am going to rough up the surface with a sander. I'm going to sand it just to rough up the surface, you know, and so I get some good adhesion. It's very easy to install. It's very easy to use. You know, you don't need many tools. I would recommend a good shop utility knife right here. You can also buy a laminate cutter, which works okay. It's a score. It'll score a line, and then you just break it like you would like cutting glass or something. That works okay. It's not as accurate as I would like it to be. I mean, it's good for. I mean, this laminate came in a 4x8 sheet, and it's a pain in the ass to maneuver around, especially if you're working in a small area. So, you know, to cut down and to break them, come down to manageable pieces, I use this just to throw it on the floor and score a couple of lines and break it. It's not the cleanest break, but it'll break them down to more manageable pieces. Again, I'm going to scuff up the surface, and there's a certain adhesive specifically made for laminate. And it's as easy as, you know, putting the glue down, let it dry to the touch, and applying the laminate. You do glue both surfaces, your substrate and the bottom of the laminate. And very important that you don't want to put this on wet. You want to put it on when it's basically dry to the touch. And you know, there's some precautions in that area also. You don't once you put this on the substrate that's been glued, you're not getting it off. So you want to take some added measures to make sure that you're applying it exactly where you need to apply it. And we'll go over that in a couple of minutes. And I will actually, I like to put it on a table saw. It's just quicker and easier, and you get a more accurate and a better cut. And you always want to make the laminate. I normally like to make it at least 3/4 of an inch wider than I need it, because you're gonna be trimming it with a router anyway or a file. You know, I leave like about 1/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch overhang. That way I'll clean it up with a router. You'll get a nice clean edge. But yeah, that you want to keep in mind. And that's pretty much it. Alright, for this, for cutting laminate on your table saw, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. Obviously, you want a fence. This particular fence is a unifence, and I'm able to adjust the actual extruded aluminum up and down, where I have pretty much a 0 clearance over here. You don't want this happening. You don't want the laminate to go under the fence. It'll just ruin your cut, and it's potentially dangerous. And also you want to keep an eye on the leading edge up over here in the corner. You want to make sure that doesn't stop flaring up as you're cutting it on the table saw, because that'll actually cause the blade to chip the laminate. So you want to keep this flat to the surface as much as possible. Alright, for the long narrow pieces, I'm cutting narrow pieces about 1 3/4 of an inch. So what I did was I put this auxiliary fence up over here with a couple of spring clamps, and I'm actually going to hold this piece about 1/8 of an inch above the table surface. That way it'll give me like an extra set of hands basically to hold it down, so it doesn't flare up on me. Alright, this is the contact adhesive that I use. It's highly flammable and very toxic, so you want to work in a well, ventilated area. And it's very easy to apply. Some people use a paintbrush or a foam brush. I like to use either like a scraper, or some sort of scrap wood that I can just kind of pour it on the subsurface there, and I'll just spread it out with the scraper. You don't want to leave too much excess. You just want to skim coat it and let it dry, depending on the manufacturer's instructions. This, I believe, dries within 15 to 20 minutes, and again, you want to let it dry to the touch. Some people do think that they're doing it wrong, but you want to let it dry to the touch, because especially on both pieces, once you put that piece on top of the subsurface, you're not going to be able to get it off. It's that strong, and it's relatively easy, and laminate is a good way to spruce up something, inexpensively. It's very durable, and there's literally hundreds of different types of designs and styles on the market, and they pretty much install the same way. Some applications might have a different type of adhesive, but for pretty much wood surfaces, it's pretty much all the same. So very easy to work with. Like I said, see my finger there? Just by doing that, I actually gashed it wide open, so just enough to bleed and make it a nuisance. All right, one important thing you want to keep in mind: there is a process to gluing up your pieces when you're laminating, especially for a countertop. If you want a nice clean edge, always do your side pieces first, and I'll tell you why. Well, actually, this is actually the side. This is the front. What you want to do is, let me see if I can get a better angle over here. If you glue up your top first, and again, you want to leave an overhang so you can go along with your trim router and trim it. So let's say that's your finished edge right there. If you glue your top on first, then your sides, you're going to have a joint. You're going to see that seam right there. You don't want that. That's not attractive at all. So what the standard is, you do your sides, and then once your two sides are on, you do the front for the same reason. You don't want to see any visible seams. So you do your sides first, and then your front side, and then you do your top. That way you're not going to have any visible seams on top or in the front. Get it? I'm not going to lie to you, it's exactly not rock star quality work. It's something that just needs to be done. It's not glamorous. Let's face it, you're dealing with sharp edges on the laminate, and the stinky smell of chemicals and whatnot. But if it's something that you're going to tackle in the future, it's very easy. And the finished product is actually not too bad. I mean, laminate isn't the highest quality of finishes for your home, but if it's something that you're trying to match or you're trying to give a new look to, it's very inexpensive and affordable, and very easy to do, and you can do it within a couple of hours. So my next step is I'm going to start spreading the glue, and we're going to take it from there and start trimming. All right. I am for the edges. I am going to use a brush just to minimize any messes that the glue will make. I'll do the edge first. All right, as you can see, it's fairly dry to the touch. Also, what you want to have on hand is your J roller. This will actually take out any bubbles as you're applying the laminate. And what you want to keep in mind is once this makes contact, it's very difficult to take off. So you want to be accurate as possible. And that's on there. That's not going anywhere. Now I typically let this sit for about a half hour before I'll trim it with the router. Alright, in this step what I'm doing is before I route out anything, before I trim everything with the router, I like to treat the edges, especially in the front because I'm going to be applying the front laminate. Use a series of files, and what you want to do is you want to go on a downstroke. You don't want to do this action because you might lift up the laminate. So you want to be very careful at a slight angle. You want to just work your way like that and get that edge flush. Alright, now what I'm going to do is, this is a quarter cable laminate trimmer. You can certainly use a router with a flush cutting bit with a bearing, but this is, I just happen to have one of these. It's got a laminate cutter right there, and you just set the depth and you go to town. You need to absolutely keep the face of the router flush against the the piece you're working on. You don't want to rock it because you'll get an uneven cut, or you might damage, if this was already laminated, you might damage the top surface. So you want to keep it absolutely flush. Alright, what I'm doing now is just dressing the sides. Even though I did hit it with the laminate trimmer, I'm just making absolutely sure that these seams and edges are flush with one another. That way when I adhere the top surface to this, it won't have any voids underneath it. That way I'll get good adhesion. And also, because of the RPMs and the friction of the trimmer, it actually burns, it mars the side over here, and it leaves like a little train track, I call it anyway. But there's a way around that, and I'll show you. Alright, what I have here is some dollar stock, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to lay them out like every 10 to 12 inches, 6 inches, whatever, in case you mess up. Again, it's very sticky, and what happens is if you screw up, this will give you a chance to not screw up. And you can take one out at a time. Okay, you remember earlier I was saying that how the laminate bit creates like a, I call it like a train track. It's actually the RPMs of the router is actually, of the bit is actually burnishing the side surface. So to avoid that, the old trick is to use some Vaseline. Some people use tape. I just think Vaseline is just quicker, and it just does the job. So just kind of like smear it along the whole side. That'll take care of any burnishing. You might see a little bit, but you can buff that out. Alright, as you can see, the Vaseline did the trick. No train marks. Now that I got all the Vaseline off, that router bit actually did a pretty decent job making everything flush. I'm just going to hit it with the file a little bit. On a downstroke, you want to go and kind of at an angle, skewed, just to take the edge off. And you want to do this all the way around. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Not a hard job to do. Like I said, it's not a rock star job. It's not glamorous, but it is what it is. And if you need to make a laminate for yourself to either spruce up a cabinet or match something that you have already, and it's just a cheap, easy way to change the look or appearance of something. There you go. There's the finished product. Nice and smooth, no sharp edges.